councils are representatives or belong to an organization outside of their district council? Yep. Of those organizations, they include everyone's interests. Yes, no, yes, no. Okay.
We try.
They're inclusive.
Yes.
Right. Fran better.
Everyone's welcome.
It's a word. Right now, if you read the press, you will see a story that says your average district council has 15 people in it. They tend to be white, they tend to be old, they tend to own houses. And that's being cast as the whole story. When a district council assembles, hundreds or thousands of people are represented by the organizations that are at the table. We are elected to these positions based on the positions that we hold within other organizations. We are a representative democracy. It is not true, the story that's currently being told. And that's one of the things I'm going to cover tonight. Now I'm going to go around and I'm going to ask the district councils some questions. Because quite frankly, when we weren't engaged, there were some questions that should have been asked. We should have been the first people that were talked to. Not everything that is in that report we necessarily have a disagreement with. There are things that all of us have talked about for years and years.
Yes.
And years! And some more years! That narrative needs to change. We need to have our voices heard. So I want to ask you guys, and we'll take a representative from Delridge to speak for Delridge. But I'll get to you guys next. Dan, you want to lead us off?
Okay.
From the Central District's perspective, what is it that you actually do for your district?
So our district, you know what our district council does? Stand up.
Who are you?
Dan Sanchez, Central Area Member District Council Chair. And so the question is, what does our district council do?
That's correct.
So our main focus is to provide a forum for our member organizations to disseminate and receive information amongst each other and from the city. So we may have a developer come down and talk about an update to some project they're working on, or some department head of the city will come down, the city department will come down, talk to us about what they're trying to do, and then that information goes, by virtue of our member organizations page, that information gets disseminated across the rest of our area. That's mainly what we do.
Great. Perfect, thank you. Northeast? You want to go next?
Sure. I'm Gabrielle Gerhardt. I am not currently the chair of the Northeast District Council, but I just finished a 4-year term as the chair of the Northeast District Council. I would say we do something very similar. The power I think in our district council is when people are at the table, somebody talks about an issue in their neighborhood, and the person next to them says, "Oh, have you heard about the fill-in, whatever that is?" And there's some connection made there, and that information is shared at the table in a way that it's not shared over social media or other things. And we do bring in from the city, like most of the district councils probably do. We really think mostly it's an opportunity for people to get together and share that information and try to build collaboration and connection across neighborhoods where those boundaries, sometimes on the line they're very firm, but they're not always that firm.
Thank you. We're going next.
GDDC.
Oh, you guys want to go? Go!
I want to echo on that building relationship and collaboration thing. My name is Melissa Jonas. I am the co-chair of the organization formerly known as the GDDC. And I don't know what symbol we're gonna choose. We're still working on that, but it'll be great. It'll look. We do the checkbox thing, where public agencies contact us as volunteers and say, "Hi, I'm an overpaid consultant trying to do outreach in your community. Will you help me?" And we help them. And we take it up a notch and say, "Do you have translated materials?" And they say, "No, we don't have budget for that." And we say, "You know, we don't either." Isn't that interesting? And then all the white people who speak English in the room go tell the other white people who speak English what we know, because we don't have the tools to tell anyone else. So I shouldn't say white, I should say old homeowners. That's also not at all reflective of our district council, and it's not at all like that has gotten under my skin, even a tiny bit. I wish my co-chair was here right now, because he is a young Latino guy who rents. And we usually do a good cop, bad cop thing, but lately we've just been, kind of left hook, right hook. But the other thing we do more than anything is we build relationships. We build relationships in our community with each other, and we build relationships in our community with city agencies, with the port, with the county. We are a human brain trust that cannot be beat by find it, fix it. I walk around with my phone glued to me, and I live tweet meetings, and I freaking love social media. And it does not take the place of a potluck. It does not take the place of looking your neighbors in the face. Also, you are, most of us anyway, even me, is forced to be that much more civil when I'm speaking to a person in person.
True.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do, is we are human. The other thing we do is we review grants. We are armchair transportation experts. We are armchair parks enthusiasts who tell people where to go to report this. We've had the phrase Olmsted garbage cans used more than once in our meetings, and I will not bore you with what that means. But we do what we're asked and more, like everyone else in this room. And the way we have been portrayed and the way that we have been described by the agency charged to tell us what to do. To serve us, there's the agency we serve. I've been a volunteer coordinator for a long time, and I would never treat anyone that I ever expected to come back the way that we have been treated. So that's...
Anybody want to jump in? We have it going.
So, the role, who are you? Charlotte Oxman, Vice Chairman of Magnolia Queen Anne District Council.
Welcome.
So, thank you. So the roles that have been described, of course, we do all those as well. I want to touch on one thing that has not been mentioned yet. We've been blessed with strong community councils. We used to compete with each other for city resources. And we've built those relationships together that now, for some years, there's been a highly supportive environment. And we look around the communities of Magnolia, 3 people are here from Magnolia, I'm here from Queen Anne. We look at new parks, off-leash dog areas, pea patches, transportation problem solved, business district with rehab sidewalks in both communities because we work together, and the district council has been the vehicle for us to work together. Thank you.
Who's next? Sound card, come on, bring it.
First of all, is there anybody else here from South Park?
How about South Park sympathizers?
All right.
Who are you?
My name is Jeff Hayes. I am not part of the South Park Neighborhood Association. I'm just a local South Park activist. And since my neighbor and I are the only ones here tonight, and nobody from our South Park Neighborhood Association felt compelled to attend this meeting. I guess I'll speak for South Park.
Yay, go Cubs!
Yeah. I won't get into how disappointed I am that there's nobody from the South Park Neighborhood Association here. I'm not entirely surprised, even though I made it very well known that this was happening and that I was coming up, and that I would be happy to offer a ride to anybody who needed a ride up the hill. My impression of what the South Park District Association or Neighborhood Association is supposed to do is to stay in touch with city leaders and city departments that have a direct effect on the quality of life for all the South Park neighborhood and its peoples. And I think that there's no more important time for that mission to be on everybody's minds, because the city, in my impression, the city is getting bigger. The people who can really do things for us, the people who really have the money and the authority to make things happen, are getting farther and farther away from us, and harder to get in touch with. And those people are getting they're getting overrun with huge issues and neighborhood issues that are still the responsibility of people who work for those neighborhoods. Those individual neighborhoods are getting lost. And my fear with this particular decision that was made by His Honor is that it's just another way to, it's another wedge driven between the individual neighborhoods of the city and the city government proper. And I don't think it's the way to go. I think if anything, we should be getting more in touch with our neighborhoods and instead of getting farther away. So
That's why we're here tonight. North, talk to me.
Sure. My name is Art Mendez. I'm the co-chair of the North District Council, Lake City area. My dad's from Puerto Rico. He was born in Puerto Rico. I grew up in the Lake City area. That's my home. That's the place that I love. And a couple years ago, I was elected the co-chair. I'm not really sure why. But I would love my neighborhood. I'm a resident. So, I just want to say that I'm very proud to be part of the NDC, and we do a lot of great things. One example is the light rail station that was off the table for a while, and then Deborah Juarez worked with us, and we sent letters to the city council, we testified, we worked together as multiple different groups, and we got that station back on the bus. So that's an example of how we're successful, and that's an equity issue as well. Lake City, Bitter Lake neighborhoods need that 150th light rail station that connects them east and west. So we were left out. NDC worked together and said, what about us? What about the social equity lens we're trying to use? And we got that back on the table. So it's a very successful story. And it's not like we're not trying to outreach to diverse communities. We want that. Everyone in this room wants that, right?
Yes.
Give us the tools. Give us translators. Have us translate the documents. Fund neighborhood activities that bring different cultures together. Festivals, artwork, things like that. Music in the park. So I'm a big fan. Let's not throw out the whole system. Let's make it better. Let's improve it. So,
Are there any more district councils that want to talk to that, Ballard? All right.
Hi, Ballard, also CNC co-chair. I am thrilled to see everybody here tonight. I'll echo everything that all district councils have said. Absolutely. One of the things I'll specifically call out is the troubleshooting. We are empowered as active community members to, when we hear that problem in the neighborhood, when we see yet another accident at an intersection that needs a traffic circle, right? Or street lights that are out, or rain gardens that aren't raining. We're empowered. We empower the neighbors, and we're empowered to go out there and get city departments to respond. on. We're that find it, fix it in some ways, for so long has gotten responsiveness out of our city government. But I want to touch on just a couple of quick points. One, and I never thought I would say this, I agree with Roger Valdez. When has a city department relied on volunteers to do its job of outreach? That's irresponsible. We have worked as a CNC, and I know as Ballard, to try and get the department to open up, to try and get them to do outreach. They were obstructionists at every turn in the last 5 years. We put a participatory budgeting, I hope some of you.
Yes.
Youth voice, youth choice is because we worked with Councilmember Okada to get money in the budget. We did outreach. I personally brought in 1/6 of the citywide vote total in the youth group by going out and meeting community members where they are. Not expecting them to come to my district council meeting. Go out and find them. There's also a great misconception, I think, in somehow in the narrative, that somehow a community council is a district council. It's not. Community councils are some of the groups represented at the district council meetings. But we also have the African American Museum, the Nordic Heritage Museum, Friends of the Bird Building Trail, business associations. We are open to anyone in the community, and the Department of Youth Neighborhoods used to go out and recruit these organizations to come in. That hasn't happened. It hasn't happened for years. And this perception that somehow all the district coordinators do is serve our district councils. I love our district coordinators. They're great, they're hardworking, they're wonderful people. But when we account for the number of hours they're spending on just our little district council, it's less than 1 FTE a month. If you look at their job descriptions on the city servers, right? The district council is such a tiny part of their responsibility. It's really misrepresenting what's going on. So, more than just validating that. And I want to say, we need a round of applause for Matt.
Folks, I'm just doing my job. Delridge, you guys aren't piping up.
Oh, you said we had to wait. We've been waiting now.
You guys want to arm wrestle? Who wants it? He wants it.
I know it's my money's on it.
So, my wife told me I had to keep the snark factor down. I hate Spalding. And so I wrote out my comments so that I can keep the snark factor down. So my name is Pete Spalding. I have previously served as the chair of the Pigeon Point Neighborhood Council. I have served several terms as chair of this Delridge Neighborhood District Council, and I've also previously served as the chair of the City Neighborhood Council. I have served as the chair of the Citizens Oversight Committee for the 2008 Parks and Green Spaces Levy. I say this not to brag, but to demonstrate that I have a certain amount of institutional knowledge of how the Department of Neighborhoods and our district council system work. I have worked with the Nichols, the McGinn, and now the Murray administrations. I have worked with Department of Neighborhoods directors Jim Deers, Stella Chow, Yvonne Sanchez, Bernie Matsuno, and now Kathy Nyland. I have worked with each of these administrations. I have watched each of these administrations make substantial cuts to the budget and personnel within the Department of Neighborhoods. I have watched funding and support from the Department of Neighborhoods to our district council and neighborhood council system evaporate over time. I remember many long chats with Vivian McLean, who some refer to as the godmother of the Delridge Neighborhoods District Council, about how the city works and the ways that a neighborhood activist can go about influencing city policy as it impacted one's neighborhood. I have seen the results of the hard work of my neighbors here in Delridge, from Paul Fishberg, Steve Daschle, Ron Angeles, and others who worked to form the Delridge Neighborhoods Development Association. From Willard Brown and David Wostock working to save public spaces for an environmental learning center in Delridge for our youth. I have seen Amanda K. Helmick and Matt McBride work to organize and revitalize a neighborhood council in the southern reaches of our Delridge neighborhood. The list is long. I have watched as my my neighbors have lobbied our city government for better transportation infrastructure, better public safety resources, helping establishing a neighborhood grocery store in our food desert, and working to build a skate park at the Delridge Community Center when other areas of West Seattle did not want that skate park. There has been a lot said in the last few weeks about how district councils are not representative. On the surface, that in some cases might be true, but let's look behind the bodies at the table. Does the representative from the Southwest Youth and Family Services only represent themselves, or are they representing all of the folks that cannot make it to that meeting? Is the representative from the Highland Park Action Committee there representing themselves, or are they there on behalf of the many folks who attend their monthly meetings right here in this facility? Does the representative from the Delridge Neighborhood Development Association only represent his point of view or the point of view of all the residents of the Youngstown Cultural Arts Center, the youth that participate in their myriad of programs, the low-income residents that reside in their housing, or the nonprofits that are housed in one of their buildings? At present, the City of Seattle has 45 existing boards and commissions. There is a board or commission that, when the city established it, was meant to cover all the points the mayor says is lacking and then some. So why do we need to abolish one voice for a lesser voice? There are presently 40 departments in our city government. Let's look at just one of them. And I'm going to point out the Seattle Police Department, which has, their words not mine, 10 demographic advisory councils, including a citywide advisory council. Are we perfect? Do we have adequate representation at all of the tables? Of course not. But should we give up because it is not perfect? Of course not. Should we stop advocating for causes in which we believe? Of course not. Should we accept that things will get better on their own? Of course not. It has been stated that much of the resolution that originally established our present district council system is outdated or irrelevant. I would say that most of this has been caused by our civic leaders in not fulfilling the items called for in Resolution 27709. Over the last 10 years, the city has woefully failed to live up to items spelled out in this resolution, thereby being the reason that it has brought about the issues that we are facing today. So what now? So where do we go from here? We have to continue to work on behalf of our community. Not a portion of our community, but on behalf of everyone that lives or works in our community, whether they are a renter, a homeowner, a student, a relative, a mom, a dad, a new immigrant, or someone that has lived in Delridge for many years. Everyone has a voice. Don't punish those that show up and volunteer their time, effort, and energy to make this community a better place. Give us back the tools that you've taken from us over the last 10 years. Give us back our district coordinators who have been so instrumental in helping us build a better Delridge community. Work with us, not against us, and make my Delridge community a better place for everyone.
Any other district councils that want to jump in? We'll move on to question number 2. Once? Yeah, going once. Okay. The second question I want to put before the district council. Oh, wait, we already had a thing. All right. So to summarize, district councils are a massive group of representation by proxy. In this room tonight, there are tens of thousands of people. The people that are in that room at the district council are themselves a massive collection of experience, of institutional knowledge, of community building and networks. The people that are in that room are serving the function of the city, the communities they live in. They bring grants. They bring public works. They do the assistance that their district needs based on the ability that they have, as we've already mentioned, them gathered as themselves. Thank you, district councils.
Yay!
Love you guys. Been next question. The next question that should have been asked to frame this conversation, that I'm going to say, let's get in the not very way back machine and let's pretend that Wednesday hasn't happened yet. The next question that should have been asked of the district councils: what are your goals? What is it that you really want to accomplish? What does next look like to you? Now this one I am going to start with because we got some really good ones. A number of years ago, the Delaware Neighborhoods District Council gathered a large contingent of the community. We brought them together and we held a summit. In that summit, we spent 5 hours talking. We used some of our, when we still have more of these things, we used some of our city-appointed funds to bring in a moderator and to hold that discussion and to draw out some key elements from all the people assembled. And we came up with 8 strategic goals. Number 1, strengthen the trust relationship with local government and its many layers and agencies. This is a directive of the Delaware District. Create and promote a Delaware neighborhood and common identity. Develop business associations to spur economic development. Kind of a big deal in the Delaware.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Create and maximize places and events where diverse groups can come together to build trust and reciprocity. Promote a green Delaware. This is as much recycling and all that friendly stuff as preserving our green space, building up our green space, making our green space accessible. Conduct outreach and serve populations that cross class, ethnicity, and cultural lines and communities. Strengthen the schools. Last, this was kind of this is a pet project, very specific to Delaware, but to create a boulevard feel along the Delaware District. We have this one ribbon of road that goes through, and it's our aim to kind of turn that more into a community focal point that I believe is a basketball. The thing about these strategic goals, the reason why they're appropriate for a district council, they're not going to be realized right away. We've been looking at these goals for 7-8 years. Some of them we've made some progress on. Others, not so much. But when we gather as a district, that's what's on the mind. Everybody in the district having diversity, representation, and a trustful relationship with each other and the city that they live in. That's what we're about. That's what we're working towards. And that's what we want to see happen. And because, as a district council, you have a group of people who have the ability to commit to these long-term ideals, we are making a little bit of progress. We could do so much more.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're working on it. That's what we're about. That's what our next looks like, achieving those goals. I'm interested in hearing from your perspective, the other district councils, what is it that you're looking towards? What is it that you're looking forward to? When you look at your district, when you envision it blooming, how is that bloom? What's that flower? Anyone want to start? I say yes, Northwest.
My name is Kathleen Brayton, and I'm not on the district council, but I'm on one of the community councils in the Northwest District. And before you get to the goals of your district councils, I'd like to say why I think these district councils do not get credit for what they do for the entire city, and why I was so offended by what the mayor did. Not only not to consult the district council, but that there was no basis in reality of assuming that there was all this NIMBYism. So there's about 8 of us in here who served on the volunteer group this year for the large projects for youth for the city. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had working with a group of people and democracy and diversity. And the mayor then stuck a huge pin in that balloon because I thought he saw an entirely different reality than I did. So I wrote to Matt and a few other people today that I looked at the 27-year record of the grants that have been given out through the district council's input by the city. And I would defy the mayor or anybody to say it's evidence of not in my backyard.